Welcome back to the Pokemon Podcast. Super Bowl set. Chiefs Niners rematch Super Bowl 54. Before we get to that Super Bowl, let's touch on this past weekend, championship weekend. Biggest headline. We'll start with Chiefs Ravens. Michael, what do you got? Biggest headline.
Biggest headline is that the Ravens played their worst game of the season in the AFC Championship, which is just like brutal for them. Like they had such a dominant season, and they get to it was tough to watch. It really was because we know I'm a Lamar guy. I wanted to see him get his ring. And I thought they were the better team. I thought they had the best team in the playoffs, and it just didn't go that way. Basically, every single thing that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Um, I'll get into it further, but I want to hear everyone else's thoughts too.
Miles, what do you think, dude? I don't know. It was like I kind of got the sense that the Chiefs didn't win and the Ravens lost.
Yeah,
I just
that's
think
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
penalties and all the unforced errors, Zay Flowers taunting and then fumbling at the
uh,
one. I mean, it's like I don't know.
That's just like complete lack of experience, and it just completely showed in that game. But their defense I thought played really well. It's just their offense could not get anything going after like their first touchdown, which was kind of disappointing because I was excited to see that game. It was supposed to be a really exciting game, but ended up not being that exciting.
I just I just think that like you said, the defense for the Ravens played really well because I thought it was gonna be a shootout after that first drive. They drove right down the field in like 5 minutes, 6 minutes to Kelsey, and then it was 10 points the rest of the game from each team. It was like I don't know. It was a weird game and I didn't enjoy watching that personally.
Yeah, neither.
yeah, I really think, and I think both games were kind of. I mean, they were like exciting and close, but both games were kind of tough to watch in terms of just like self-inflicted wounds. Like
Yeah.
you want to, I think my dad was saying this, like you want to see the best football in the AFC Championship. Like you want to see everyone play their best and the best team win. And that's just kind of not what it felt like. It felt like everyone was just like blowing themselves up, and whoever could lose the game, not win it.
I mean, you wouldn't expect that from, I mean, it's the conference championships.
Yeah,
The fact that
exactly.
there were so many self-inflicted wounds and those roughing the passers and the fumbles and then Jared Goff and all that, but we'll touch on that game after. But it's just Mahomes and Kelsey, different level come playoff time. What do you guys, I mean, it's just, I don't, it's like, it makes me speechless. I don't know what to say, to be honest.
He's Mahomes
Crazy.
is just insane. Like different
Yeah.
level in the playoffs compared to everyone else. I know we kind of talked about like tiers last week, but Mahomes in the playoffs his tier is
Yeah.
way above everyone else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I the worry about the Chiefs obviously was is Mahomes going to have enough help? I mean, he had no help all year, and then he gets to the playoffs, and obviously he's playing better himself. But Kelsey all of a sudden isn't washed. Like we had a lot of washed Kelsey discussions, and now
Should he retire?
he looks like easily the best tight end in the league. Like it's not even close. He's unguardable, and the guys at MVS makes a clutch play. Like it's just the Chiefs know how to win in the playoffs. That's really what it is, and it's hard at this point to bet against them because it clearly doesn't matter whether they're the best team in the game or not. I thought the Ravens were a better team. I thought even last year in the Super Bowl, the Eagles had a much better team and the Chiefs won. So it just seems to be the Chiefs know how to win, like regardless of their roster or not.
I mean, what stood out to me was like complete coaching difference. I don't know. It's like Andy Reid figured out a way to get them to get it done, and then Todd Monken. Would you say Lamar played bad, or would you also say, I mean, they completely abandoned the run. The best running offense ran the ball 14 to 16 times, whatever it was, in the last game of the year. Lamar's not succeeding throwing 40 passes a game, like it or not. He's just not that quarterback. So I don't. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, Gus Edwards, he had like that one big run, like in one of their first drives, and they just didn't go back to him. I
And they
thought,
had 1 yard, 1 carry for 1 yard after that.
yeah, I mean, it looked like they should have just stuck to that and stuck to what was working. But I mean, the passing wasn't really working either. So, I mean, the running was working, but passing wasn't working. So they obviously probably should have ran more. But I also thought the Chiefs defense played really well, and I see their defensive coordinators getting a lot of credit, and he should, which he's done a really good job this year with a very talented Chiefs defense.
Was this Lamar's best chance? I mean, that came right to my
So
mind.
far for
I
sure.
would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it just the rhetoric that he can't win that playoff? I mean, he hasn't shown anything.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure the style of that offense can win a playoff game. That's what it is. Like if they can't run the ball, they're kind of in trouble.
Yeah, they can't play from behind, I feel like.
Yeah, and it was just it felt like the Todd Monken like and the Ravens just like felt like they were losing by much more than they were.
Yeah.
Like they just like felt like they were down big and had to throw themselves back into
Mhm.
it and abandon the run. But it was really in reach the whole time, and then it got to a point where obviously it wasn't in reach. But also like I'd put some of that blame on Monken, but Lamar and the receivers like. Lamar was just sitting in the pocket for so long, like it felt like 5, 6 seconds of play, and it's Lamar. Like there's always a running lane, and I felt like he wasn't being aggressive enough with his legs, and obviously holding the ball also has to do with the receivers not getting open. It felt like there was a lot of plays where they'd show the like the aerial angle of the game, and it was just like Lamar was sitting there, and Odell would be running a terrible route, and like nobody would be open. There's just nothing they could do, and obviously credit to the Chiefs defense for that
Would
too.
I be crazy to say they're the playoff version? Like come playoff time, they're the AFC version of the Cowboys. Just can't get it done.
Yeah, and the
Mm.
Packers.
Packers.
Cowboys are on a different level. I would
They
just
are.
like
Yeah. And it's also more like recent choking for the Ravens. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys have a longer period of choking.
Do we put any blame on Hallbar, or is he's chilling? Or do we got anything? Or is that more, I don't know. Just
I think just
I
blame
believe
on
more on
yeah.
just say the offensive coordinator, more on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
But just seems like they panicked quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw going back to Mahomes, I saw he's played 17 postseason games, so it's like a full another season. Ready? Stats, we got 500 rushing yards, 4,800 passing yards, 44 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It's just
That's like a great MVP
different
season.
level. It's
Yeah.
absurd. It really is absurd, and I don't know.
That's
It's speechless.
Yeah.
Is he coming on Brady, or is he better
No,
already, or are
I
are we
see those
talking about it?
comparisons. It's like it's just I feel like that's just a perfect example of recency bias. Like he hasn't even won the Super Bowl yet. Like he's still got to win another game. And people are forgetting the insane runs Tom Brady's gone on. And people say like he got carried by defense and like coaching and everything. But you could say the same thing about Mahomes. Like his defense this year is as good as it's ever been. His coach is definitely one of the best of all time. And I feel like people are just like kind of getting swept away with the media and just his recent play.
I think he can definitely end up being as good as Brady, but like if he wins
maybe
in
not. Yeah,
two weeks, like I'll be not even be halfway there to Brady. So I don't think it's close.
he's only 28.
And I think this goes back to like the greatest versus best discussion too, because I really do think Mahomes as a pure quarterback, like athlete,
The
talent
best
wise,
player.
everything is the
Yeah,
best
I agree.
quarterback I've ever seen. I really think he like plays at a level we've never seen before, elevates his offense and everything. And obviously Brady was absurd, but he wasn't like the same type of superhero player. But Brady's resume is obviously unreal. He's also 2-0 against Mahomes in the playoffs, so he's always gonna have that. So yeah, Mahomes in terms of like getting his legacy to the same level as Brady still needs has a long way to go for sure.
We'll see if this works. First time doing this. I have a little clip from a couple episodes ago. Me and Michael are kind of getting caught in 4K right now. Let's see if I can I mean, who knows? We were talking trash about the what do we got here? Talk to me. Is this the right one? 18 maybe?
I don't know.
Here we go. All right, so we got me and Michael were the question was are the Chiefs more likely to make a Super Bowl run or first round exits?
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah,
hear it.
same.
No?
No.
We'll see. First round exits. Who knows? I mean, we'll see how the recording comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, first round exits, they were averaging 20 points, 22 points a game, like 13 weeks into the year. I mean, who would have thought?
It's really that's what like I'm saying, like they elevate themselves at a crazy level in the playoffs, and most teams play worse in the playoffs. So that's why that's the huge difference is
Wild.
they're playing so much better, and most teams just choke.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Let's go to the NFC. Lions, Niners. A complete meltdown, second half meltdown from the Lions. I mean, 20, what was it, 27, 24-7, 24-7.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, 14-0, 24-7 at half, and it was a tie game by the end of the third quarter. Do we think the Lions lost the game and threw it away, or do we give the Niners credit for their comeback? Matt, what do you think?
I think the Lions dropped it away. I mean, they dropped literally every single pass. I mean, from my point of view, Goff looked pretty reliable.
Oh,
He didn't do anything wrong. He did just as expected. He didn't have any turnovers like Lamar. But those like Josh Reynolds, that fourth down drop that changed the whole game. And then from that point on, like he dropped another pass and then they couldn't get a stop. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if they converted that fourth down, but I feel like after the first drive, you could just tell this was going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit of both. Like the obviously everything Matt just said, but also the Niners, I mean, on a talent like level are just completely like better than the Lions. And like eventually if you adjust at half and your superstars are playing better than like than the Lions players who aren't superstars, then I'm not putting this the best way, but you're gonna like I don't even know what I'm saying right now. But basically, like the Niners just out talented them in the second half and made the adjustments necessary. And like the Lions obviously helped them a lot, but that's two weeks in a row that the Niners have shown like extreme guts and like resilience and
yeah.
like they're just maybe that's just who they are. They're like a team that has that dog in him. I mean, back to back weeks coming back fourth quarter deficits is crazy.
Do you think Purdy shut everyone up, or do we need to see more from him? Because I know what I think. I'll let you guys go first.
I don't think so. I still think I need to see a little bit more. Like he had some pretty bad throws like that Ayuk throw. That was really bad and should have gone the other way.
Yeah.
But Ayuk just made an insane play and kind of saved the game, honestly, in that one play. But I mean, if Purdy can go off against a really good Chiefs defense in the Super Bowl, then he'll shut me up. I'll stop criticizing him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of think that was an overall like team win. Like I wouldn't just put that on Purdy and say like, oh, he saved the game or like he led that comeback. Like CMC played amazing. That defense just locked them down in that second half and just completely turned the game around.
I don't really think the defense locked them down. I think it was more of Dan Campbell's too aggressive nature was just biting them in the ass. I don't know. It's just like I think I just don't know what more Purdy needs to show you. It's second year in the league, back-to-back NFC championships, a Super Bowl. I mean, he could have made the Super Bowl if he didn't break his elbow or get Tommy John, whatever it was in the NFC championship. Like, what more do you need to see? 50 yards rushing when he most needed it, clutch on third down.
And I think he's been above expectations for his draft spot. Just it's really with the media. Like people get pissed with the media, like glazing him.
Yeah. I feel like he just gets too much credit. Like people are saying like he's
If
definitely
anything, I
not
think
the
he
best
gets no
player on that
credit.
offense.
No. If anything, I think he
Definitely
gets
not.
no credit
What?
because he's a system quarterback, system quarterback.
I mean, that's what I think he is. Yeah.
All
I
right.
think
I mean,
you replace him with Bryce Young. Bryce Young would be
oh,
in the
come
MVP
on. Get
conversation,
out of
and
here.
Brock
Get
Purdy
out of here.
would be
No.
I'm
out
No.
of
not
the
sure
league.
I agree with that either.
No. No.
I don't agree with
Come on.
Monster.
I agree.
Yeah.
No.
I think Bryce Young
No.
is way more
No.
talented than Brock Purdy.
I I don't.
I do want to give Purdy credit for obviously his second half and using his legs in a way we kind of haven't seen him use before. I mean, he was really like that was kind of the X factor was him using his legs. But um the first halves of each of the Packers game and then
Yeah,
the Lions
he's looked
game, like
terrible.
he was terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm just worried long term like about his consistency, his accuracy, and he has that like clutch gene, but also I feel like he just has like a little bit of luck on his side. Like obviously the IU catch was crazy lucky and Gibbs fumbling and just there was a lot going right for the Niners for them to come back. And obviously he has the insane team around him. I think Purdy is much better and elevates that offense more than Jimmy G ever did. And I think that's obviously like the Niners are much better now than when they had Jimmy G. So credit to him for that. But in terms of when they're probably going to pay him a lot of money for this run and just for his success I just don't think he deserves it.
Do you think of him as like a Nick Foles type player?
I
Like
mean, like,
lucky.
I don't
yeah,
know. It's a
I don't know. I don't. There's a lot of quarterbacks that I would say are better than Brock Purdy if you gave me a list. That's one. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw this one tweet. I think Michael saw it as well. It was like, what was the difference between Brock Purdy
yeah,
and Jimmy Garoppolo?
one of them had
One of
CMC.
them has CMC,
I
and
mean, I would say it's hard to grade his level of talent considering the situation he's in. I mean, it's like
yeah,
we obviously understand Mahomes is Mahomes and he can improvise when needed, but I just like I got like a Joe Burrow feeling at it. I don't know. It's like something like on 3rd and 4 when he scrambles for 25 yards. Like I don't think an everyday quarterback's doing that.
I don't know. I think he's just this weird, like it's like the Taylor Heineke trait, which I don't know if that makes sense, where he'll just like do anything and it works. Like if you remember, like Taylor Heineke would in that playoff game was just like pulling out these crazy plays,
Yeah.
and it's like, where is
It's
he
a good
coming?
comparison.
That's kind of where like obviously he's better than Taylor Heineke. I'm just saying that trait where it's like nothing can go wrong when everything's on the line. Like against the Packers, there was so many like 3rd and 10 pressure in his face, and he'd pull out an absolute dime to Ayuk or Jawan Jennings, and like after missing the previous 3 throws, it
Yeah,
just
that's a clutch gene. Like I
yeah,
don't
he
yeah.
has that gene, but he also has I don't think he's like that talented or accurate or and has like the like superstar abilities of a really good quarterback. And obviously, we'll find out a lot in the Super Bowl on the biggest stage if he pulls together a really good performance against the Chiefs defense that's been pretty dominant, then maybe I'll change my opinion on him.
I don't know. I think at this point, agree to disagree in my ideas between the two of you. But let's go to Dan Campbell's coaching. Do we have an issue with it? Was it too aggressive, or I mean, they were over 50% on 4th down. They went for it the most out of every 4th down, 5th down. Out of anyone in the league, over 50% all year long. It won them some games. It cost them some games. Going for two, won them, lost them games. It's like that's just who he is. You can't. I mean, you can't switch who he is come the biggest time, which maybe some people say he should, considering the stage that they're on. But what do you think, Michael?
I think it was idiotic, and I really have kind of felt that way about. I'm not a big Dan Campbell guy and
Mm-hmm.
Lions guy in general, and obviously I think what he's done for the Lions is great, his culture and everything. But there's a difference between like being smart and going for it on 4th down and before and a difference between that and like being just like
Reckless.
yeah reckless. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what some of the like the Cowboys game, all the blame went on the reported eligibility, which obviously they if the refs got it right, they got the play. But then he went for 2 from the 7 yard
Look,
line.
but I mean, in his defense, in that sense, it's one play from the 7 or go to an overtime, and who knows what can happen, and then you might not even get the ball.
I don't know. I just going for it from the 7 is just pretty improbable to me. And you just take your points, and if you believe in your team, you think you can pull it out in overtime. So back to now, like those decisions, like why don't you trust your kicker to take that's 6 points off the board just to prove that you're like a gutsy coach. I don't know. There was like a feeling when they were going for it. I don't know if this was for everyone, but for me, when they were going for it, I'm like, they're not going to get this. Like this is just everyone's going to be like, they're not going to get this and blame him. And it just, I don't know why he can't like see that. And then he like after the game each time he's like, oh yeah, I don't regret it. Like that was the decision I made. But like you're really costing your team like important games here just by making these gutsy decisions. I don't know. I think he has to find the balance between reckless and being
Personally, I think the one where it was just over midfield that Josh Reynolds drops, I'm completely fine with that. That's either a punt or a long field goal, which they probably won't hit. I mean, it's a great throw, just bad execution. That's not coaching, in my opinion. That's just execution. And then, um, later in the game when it was a three, when they were down three, I think he should just kicked it when there was like 4th and 5 or 6 from the 30 or something like that. I
you
think he
gotta
should have
take
just kicked that,
that.
and then maybe even before half, he should have just kicked it and gotten 3 points. That he just didn't do. I mean, it's I don't know. What do you think, Miles?
I personally don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I don't think he was like doing it just to prove he's like a gutsy coach. Like that's just clearly how he like wants to coach his team. And they've done it the whole season. And when he does it, he's like praised as like he's gonna win coach of the year. He's like the best coach in the league. And then when he doesn't, he gets all this backlash and like people say he shouldn't have done it. So really like it's just a huge risk just for not like just for the team, but like also like the view on him as a coach. And then also, like I saw something like the Lions in like 4th and 3 or like 4th and under 5 or like
They're
5 and under.
they're great.
They're like over 90%. Like
They're great.
that's
Yeah.
their tush push. Like they get that almost every time. So I mean, with the game on the line, like I don't see why he like just changes his
Yeah.
philosophy for one play. And also, who says the kicker makes it? Like he's not the greatest kicker of all time.
He's
And
40 for 49, I think, from like 45 plus.
I mean,
But
I mean,
Just
I would.
I want to say about like the second 4th and 3 when they were down 3 from like the 30. First of all, it's 3 yards and they're successful from them, but they're also playing a really good defense that has all the momentum and like all the motivation to get a stop right there and basically seal the game. It's just a lot of pressure on the offense to convert that. And then also, even if they do convert it, like who's guaranteed they're then gonna get the next 30 yards and go down and score anyway? They might have to end up kicking a field goal anyway. And I really think you just trust your kicker. I mean, like he can't be that. It's what it would have been like, what, like 47. Like that's a kick that mostly every NFL kicker should
Yeah.
make.
Yeah.
I have a bigger problem with them running the ball. It was like 3rd or 2nd and goal at the end of the game. Like that,
Yeah. That
that
too.
like I don't have a problem with the
yeah.
4th downs. That
Yeah.
was just so dumb. Like if they're so confident
sure.
in the team in 4th and 5s and they're very have a high conversion rate, like do they not trust Jared Goff to throw 4 passes within the 5 yard line to score a touchdown?
I mean,
I
and
just
it
thought
was
that was really dumb.
and it was an obvious running situation. They had one back and they had big guys in on the line. I said it from my
Right.
couch. Why are they running the ball? Like you know.
And you give up a timeout and you rely all your faith on the onside kick to win the game.
I also like I think it was a minute 40 left. What do you guys think about kicking the field goal right away, using your time, like hopefully using your timeouts and then worrying about like so you don't have to onside. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
getting the 3 points out of the way, making it a one possession game, having the maximum amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was
I would
thinking
agree.
that, but like also you kind of just want to take the touchdown drive first, to better your odds. And also like if they had what it was Ferkser like wide open in the flat and he easily should have scored and
Yeah, he ran out of bounds.
like,
That's
so
it too.
slow and ran out of
Yeah, of
bounds. Like that mostly every NFL
course.
player is making that play, which obviously changes the conversation. But I really like take four chances to throw the ball, and one of them you're probably gonna get, and the 3 other that you don't get stops the clock anyway. So
Yeah,
that was a
takes 15 seconds off the clock combined.
I mean, they
Yeah,
also couldn't get a stop, so I wouldn't like trust with 3
yeah,
timeouts and 40 left that they were gonna
it's a good
3
point.
now.
Yeah,
yeah, but better
yeah.
odds.
A lot of controversy surrounding this past weekend. Let's look at the Super Bowl. Niners Chiefs, like I said, rematch Super Bowl 54. Chiefs won that 31-20, if everyone cares. But it's completely different game than everyone was expecting coming in. It was Ravens Niners all the way around. Niners got here. I mean, Chiefs, dude. Somehow they got here. I mean, let's just pick it. Give me your thoughts and then give me your pick. Matt, you could start us off.
Taking the Chiefs, I've doubted them in every single playoff game this year, and basically every regular season game. And the only reason why I'm taking the Chiefs is because of Mahomes. I think I mean, that's the real reason why, but obviously there's more reasons. I think the Chiefs defense could stop the Niners and Brock Purdy. I think he's looked shaky. I think he'll be nervous at the beginning of the game, like he's looked in every other game. And I just think the Chiefs offense can score easier on the Niners defense than the Niners offense can score on the Chiefs defense.
So are you calling a shootout? Is that what you're calling?
No, I'm not calling. I think, should I just do a score
Yeah,
prediction?
give a score prediction too.
24-21 Chiefs.
Yeah. Textbook. Michael, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have a tough time picking against the better team in the Niners, but I'm going to pick the Chiefs as well. And like I said, the Chiefs have pulled away all these games against better teams in the past. So why can't they do it again? And I really just don't want to bet against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. I'd rather go out losing like picking them than if I picked against them. And also like I feel like the Niners, obviously they're a great team. They got to the Super Bowl. I don't want to take away credit for them, but I feel like they're maybe a little bit like overrated as a team and kind of have been like a little exposed as an all-around team lately. Like think about the Ravens game where they got blown out. Like all the credit went to wow, the Ravens are so good. Like they're this dominant team, but then turns out like maybe the Ravens aren't so dominant. And then they played the Packers and they should have lost that game and then they obviously pulled it out. And maybe the Packers just weren't as good, like, and it was more the Niners being bad. And then I really didn't think the Lions were that good of a team, and they just came out rolling them. And obviously the Niners came back. So it's all these like instances of these like teams that are kind of getting the best of them. And obviously they pulled out 2 of those games, but just I really think that the Chiefs maybe are closer as a full roster than we think. And I have a tough time seeing Purdy and that offense that hasn't been that great against a dominant Chiefs defense that shut down Lamar. So the main reason is Mahomes and Kelsey, and like I don't want to bet against Mahomes, but those are the other reasons.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chiefs as well. I just think you can't, like, Mahomes has showed us that it really doesn't matter who he plays. You just like can't choose the other team because he'll find a way to win it. And I think the 49ers start the game off like they have been recently, then the Chiefs will be able to capitalize on that and take a bigger lead and probably sustain that later in the game. And yeah, I mean, Michael said it, like they have kind of been overrated a little bit and have like they've looked competitive with the Packers, who really did not look like a good team.
Damn.
Well, before, like, earlier in the season, but obviously they look much better. But I mean, a 1 seed should not really be competing with or a 7 seed should not be competing with the 1 seed really.
On the road.
Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, if the Chiefs can like get to Purdy early and like maybe sack him a couple times, then I think they'll be able to throw the offense off the rest of the game and just be able to control it. So yeah, if I had to predict a score, I would say like 34-23 Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll give a quick
Score.
score prediction. I forgot. I'll do 27-21 Chiefs.
I was not expecting that. I was not expecting 3 Chiefs before, like not at all. I'm taking the Niners. I don't really care. I'm not
But
picking
I
Mahomes.
want to sweep.
I'm like I'm just sick of this guy. It's like I'm a petty Dolphin fan that just hates him in the AFC. And I no, but I do think the Niners are just a better team, and just I still don't trust that Chiefs offense. Like 17 points is not good enough against the Niners. It's not. The Niners aren't scoring 10 points like Baltimore. Mahomes or Lamar can't throw the ball, Purdy can. It's like I think the teams Baltimore and San Fran are just completely opposites. Like one has a good, obviously the running games are great. But the passing game for Baltimore is just not even existent compared to 49ers in my opinion. I think Shanahan's a better play caller, more experienced play caller than Munkin, which was just, I mean, he completely abandoned their identity. Come the second half and maybe even the second quarter. I just don't. CMC's an absolute stud. I think the weapons for the Niners are much better than the Ravens. I still don't trust those wide receivers for the Chiefs as well. If you can guard Mahomes or guard Kelsey with the linebackers, Warner and all that, Greenlaw, which I think they can, make Sky Moore and make Rashee Rice and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who has one big catch, beat you. I don't know. And if I had to guess, I would say I think it's a shootout. I think it's a crazy shootout. I think it's like 35. I think it's like 35-28 maybe. 38-28,
That'd be
38,
great.
38-20, 38-31, something along those lines.
I have 2 responses to that, and one is that Lamar's a better passer than Purdy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was,
I
I
was
was
gonna
gonna say
say.
that too.
I don't think so. I don't. Pure passer.
Lamar.
Lamar is so underrated as a passer. Like
Yeah, I
he's
agree.
really crazy arm talent.
I don't think so. But also the receivers are just not even close in my eyes either.
But also the Chiefs corners are so good. Like the Chiefs corners, I don't think get enough credit. I think they do actually get a lot of credit. But Snead and McDuffie are really good. And that's like maybe one of the top duos in the league. And they really clamp down. I mean, the Ravens receivers aren't that good, but they clamp down on them. And I think they could do the same to the Niners receivers. There was one more thing I had to say, but I forget.
Anyone else want to drill me?
I
You guys
mean,
switched up
you
really
picked the
fast.
Oh, yeah, I
Chiefs,
remember.
the Niners would have won because we would always have the Chiefs curse.
Yeah. What do you, Michael? What is it?
It must suck to be a Mahomes hater. I'm
It
happy that
sucks.
I'm happy that I like him because when he wins, I'm just like, okay, I'm happy, like good. But like he
Yeah, but
always
you don't have to
so
play him. Like
being a
Jordan
hater.
Love doesn't have to go through Arrowhead. Like Tua has to go through Arrowhead. It
Obviously,
sucks. It sucks. Anyone else want to drill me? You guys switched up fast. Like all you guys were. Miles was like, "Oh, I don't think they're the same team," and Michael said they can't make a run. Now all of a sudden you're
I
picking
mean,
them.
they've made the Super Bowl since that. They've beat like very good teams since that.
Yeah.
So there's like a reason for us
I know. I'm messing with
starting
you.
to
All
believe in
good.
them.
Let's do a Super Bowl's 2 weeks. We'll come back to that come middle of February. But awards show. Let's do a little puck and ball awards show. So what happened was everyone texted me their answers. They don't know what the other award winner was from the other people on here. So I'll announce it. We'll go MVP first. Then we had a unanimous Lamar Jackson. Was anyone conflicted? Lamar Jackson was my preseason pick. Just pat myself on the back,
Nice
but
job.
yeah, I
Congrats.
appreciate it. Anyone else conflicted, or was it just a no-brainer?
No brainer for me.
I didn't even
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Another unanimous. We got Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Anyone
Three Dolphins
conflicted?
players that could
I-
have won these awards that blew it.
I was actually thinking about Tyreek. I would say if it was a 14-week season, it's not even a question, but he completely choked it away in the biggest 3 games of the year. But you can also say that's Tua's problem or just the offense in general's problem. But at the same time, if he's going to be Offensive Player of the Year, he should like be better than just average. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What was that game he had that terrible drop in the end zone? I remember
Buffalo.
the game.
Buffalo.
I mean, yeah, right
Also
through
dropped
his
one
hands.
against Philly.
Oh, no. No. So he dropped
Wasn't
one
it the
against
Eagles?
Baltimore. No. He dropped one against Baltimore in the end zone, and then
Yeah.
in the end of the Buffalo game, the PI like went right through his hands, if you remember, on that
Yeah,
last drive.
earlier in the year.
What do you say?
He had one bad drop against the Eagles earlier.
Against the
Yeah.
Eagles, yeah. That would have been a
Um,
sure touchdown.
Yeah, I definitely thought about Tyreek Hill. Obviously, he had an absurd season, but like Evan said, like kind of in the big moments, he's like a low key choker. And also, I think McCaffrey and Tyreek are, in my opinion, are like the centerpieces of each of their offenses, not the quarterback. And the Niners had a better offense, so that was kind of my reasoning.
I mean, McCaffrey was just an absolute stud. Unanimous, granted, another unanimous. The third and final unanimous decision from us was Defensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett. I mean, I was a little surprised. I was expecting maybe a Deron Bland in there or a TJ Watt in there. Was it a no-brainer for everyone? I mean, I thought about Deron Bland personally.
I didn't think about Bland. I kind of thought about Watt, but I mean, Myles Garrett was just that whole. He wasn't even that whole defense. He was just that whole team. Like he single-handedly carried them to the playoffs in a very surprising season.
Yeah, of course.
Bland is not even that good. Like he was getting
Yeah,
cooked.
Yeah, I know, but he made history. That's like the only like if he didn't make like if Tyreek hit 2000, no-brainer in my eyes.
Mhm.
So I think the fact that he hit history, like there's some chatter at least.
But he just like wasn't like a pure lockdown corner.
No, of course, yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. Offensive Rookie of the Year was split actually. Two of us had Puka. That was Michael and Matt, and then me and Miles had CJ Stroud. I think we should just fight it out real quick. Michael, what do you two got with Puka?
So I picked Puka because first of all he broke the the receptions and the yards record
Yeah.
for rookie wide receivers, which has stood for a really long time. I'm pretty
No.
sure it
He
has.
stood for 2 years. Waddle broke it 2 years
Marches.
ago.
Waddle, yeah.
Oh,
But either way, very impressive, and I really don't think it was like a fluke Rams wide receiver like Cup thing, McVay thing. Like he was really good, and obviously it's a regular season award, but he showed in the playoffs he's like a pure dominant player at this point. He had 180 yards in his first playoff game, so I really think he was the best rookie, and I also hate that like offensive rookie of the year is becoming like also a quarterback award kind of like I just don't like when like MVP is a quarterback award and now like with everyone saying Stroud, I think that's just because he was a quarterback. I think Stroud's great, but I think Puka had the better pure season in terms of just dominance at their position.
Matt,
Yeah,
would
I
you
completely
second
agree.
everything? Yeah.
I mean, if we were gonna talk, if you just said that stats is really like what matters. I mean, Puka broke literally every stat. I think it's harder to be a good rookie quarterback, but the stats for Puka were just so good.
Mhm.
I could not give it to him.
Miles, why do you think Stroud? I'll follow up on you, but you go first.
I mean, this one I actually did think about for a little bit, and I really like. It's kind of annoying that they played the same rookie season. Like
Yeah.
any other season, like if CJ Stroud wins it, any other season, Puka would have
Mhm.
won, and it's just it kind of sucks that we have to choose one of them. But I mean, I know like there was other factors, but like he completely turned that team around. They had the second overall pick and turned them into a playoff team competing with the Ravens.
Division
Not
winner.
competing with the Ravens. Yeah, division winner. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he had like one game where he looked bad. Like his transition from college to NFL was seamless, and he looked like a 15-year veteran, like Tom Brady, honestly. And as much as I hate him because I'm a Michigan fan, like he may have had the best quarterback rookie season ever.
I mean, dude, it was halfway through the year and we were talking about MVP conversations for him.
Yeah.
I mean, five interceptions from a rookie QB is just remarkable, like phenomenal, unbelievable. Any adjective, I mean, throw it in there, dude. I mean, 23 touchdowns, 4,000, more than 4,000 yards. Like you said, complete 180 from last year. Went from second overall pick, the Texans that is, to a division winner. It's just, I don't know, 10-7. I don't know. Personally, I understand Puka, but I think just the season and the team, like the impact he had on the team is much greater than Puka would be.
I see
Understand?
both sides. Like, I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Agree.
Defensive rookie of the year. Three of us had Will Anderson. That would be myself, Matt, and Michael, and then the Philly boy had Jalen Carter.
Not
Yeah.
surprised.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Miles. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised with your responses because I think Carter's a favorite right now. No.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So a little surprising. Um, but obviously Will Anderson had an amazing season. So did Jalen Carter. But really it was just Carter's beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Like he was arguably the best player on the Eagles defense. And at the beginning of the season, the Eagles defense looked like a top 5, top 10 defense, which actually completely fell apart. But yeah, he looked like the best player. He looked like the steal of the draft, even though he was a top 10 pick. And yeah, I know he had a really strong start to the season, but I think people are taking into account like his slow end of the season and kind of it's a little bit of recency bias. And like, yeah, obviously Will Anderson had a great season, but he kind of consistently like was good the whole season. But at the beginning of the season, Jalen Carter was just insane, and I think completely set himself apart from the rest of the players. And I just couldn't see like any other player catching up from that beginning of the
Bold.
season.
That's bold. I understand, but it's a whole season award, personally. I also think I would put him in the same conversation as Stroud with the 180 that team had. It's that defense towards the end of the year was better. I know it's a 11 team defense or 11 player defense, but I would say that defense was a lot better in Houston. And then I don't know. I don't know what the stats are, to be honest, but I would just like seven sacks is a good number for a rookie, nothing absurd. And I think he was perfect for a third overall pick. Wasn't
Mhm.
in the MVP conversation, the defensive player of the year conversation. But yeah, I don't know. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, I really think this was kind of a weaker
Yeah,
defensive
of course.
rookie.
I
I
would
agree.
agree. And also there were just a couple players like Witherspoon could be in the conversation. Like last year was just sauce, sauce, sauce. Nobody even thought
Yeah,
twice about it.
and Hutch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Um, like I just don't think I don't really know the stats like Evan said, but I don't think Jalen Carter necessarily had the greatest like production in terms of stats. I know like analytics people and PFF grade, I think he was really dominant in that category, but in terms of like sacks and pressures and stuff like that, I don't think he had enough production. And then Will Anderson was, like Evan said, a great, huge piece of that Texans defense that turned it around this year. 7 sacks is a very solid number, and I really think he's like kind of showing signs of being a dominant edge rusher in the league in his rookie year.
Good.
I agree with everything
Yeah,
you guys.
agree. All right, so we got a little curveball. Coach of the year was 4 different coaches, so we actually have no winner. So Matt picked D'Amico Ryans, Miles had Kevin Stefanski, Michael had Matt LaFleur, and then I had Dan Campbell. So I think we should just go around and say why. Coach, maybe I don't know. It's whatever you guys want to do. Talk. Michael, you go first. Why does your coach, Matt LaFleur, deserve that?
So I think Matt LaFleur and the Packers, like they had a kind of a rough start to the season where even Packers fans were kind of getting like questionable about the job security of LaFleur, and there were definitely like a part of the fan base that were coming for his head. But I feel like that was just the players like not being able to figure out his scheme because they were all like rookies and second-year players, and he has a very complicated scheme. And once they figured it out, I mean, the Packers were rolling second half of the season and into the playoffs, and he took the youngest team ever to make the playoffs. Like I really think that a lot of that falls on him, and just turning around the not only like the like scheme and getting them to figure it out, but also like the culture and making them resilient. And I think this team really had a lot of heart in them, and I think a lot of that falls on LaFleur and how the development of all the players, and I think he did a great job this year.
Matt, why do you think D'Amico Ryans? You think the changing culture, like we talked about before?
Yeah, I mean, I know I was contemplating Dan Campbell, but I think Michael said this earlier. I'm not sure how great of a coach he is, as in like a leader or general of that team. Really, I think D'Amico Ryans is a great coach. I know this is a regular season award, but I don't know if you guys seen that clip of him in the playoffs telling
Yeah.
one of the linebackers exactly what to do. I just think he's a great coach. And then Davis Mills last year was a disaster, completely different team. I do think Stroud helped out a lot with that, but like I don't know, he just completely revamped this team for a team that was supposed to be, I don't know, maybe under 6 wins, possibly.
I would the only pushback I have is just like the offensive production was offensive coordinator Slowick's duty, not granted that defense was great. But I would say the offense was more of a carrying force than the defense was, personally, my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's fair.
Miles, why do you have Stefanski? I mean, yeah,
He's the
Stefanski.
favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he is. I don't know. Yeah.
Um, I chose him because why did I choose him?
Nice.
No, I chose him
Nice.
because I mean the
He'd be my
Browns.
second pick if I wasn't a Packers fan.
I
Yeah,
would agree.
I mean the Browns, they lost their starting quarterback. They lost their best player on offense, and it kind of looked like it would just be another waste of a season for the Browns. And Stefanski just completely turned around, got Joe Flacco, found a pretty good running back in Jerome Ford, and the defense just completely took over. And I mean, the offense also was pretty reliable, they were pretty reliable down the season. And yeah, they had a pretty disappointing end in the playoffs, but um like at the beginning of the season, if you said the Browns lost Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, you would think they would have a top 5 pick in the draft.
And have
And
to play 5 quarterbacks.
yeah,
No, yeah,
if
you're completely
if
right. Yeah.
yeah, if you said that at the beginning of the season, like you would think they would
Hmm.
maybe even have the first overall pick, honestly. Um, but Stefanski just made it happen and got them into the playoffs somehow, some way.
I
Of
think they
course.
had like the most injuries in the league. Like they had a lot of injuries.
Wild.
Not just obviously Chubb and Watson, but he really did a great job with that, being able to be like what 11-5 in the regular season.
I had Dan Campbell just because I mean it's kind of the same thing as the Texans. The complete culture change. You could see it towards the end of last year where it started kicking in. I understand the roster is completely different, and that has a huge impact on them winning the division and going 12-5. But I just think he's a great leader of men, and that's what you need to be as a coach. I understand the Ben Johnson talks and the Aaron Glenn talks, and that he doesn't call either the plays, but still, it's like coaching. You don't have to do that. It's just if you can lead men and do all that and change the culture, which he did. I think he gets it, and the fact that they were so successful, it all goes back to the coach, in my opinion. So, good. I think good coaching attributes to success, and if you have a bad coach, you're going nowhere. So I would say that's my argument for
And,
um
and
Dan
also,
Campbell.
I think this was like unlike the defensive rookie of the year. I think this was a really strong
I agree.
Yeah.
coach of the
And
year.
I was also thinking
Like Matt LaFleur is like not really actually in the race, like
he's
in
not.
life, but like in my opinion, I think he has a great case, and he's probably like the fifth or sixth best candidate for it.
The other two candidates that we didn't mention is Kyle Shanahan and John Harbaugh. So those
Really
those two
deserve.
the
Those are
two number
great.
one seeds who are 100% deserving. Comeback player of the year. Michael has DeMar Hamlin. I have Joe Flacco, and Matt and Miles have Baker. Um, so Baker technically wins if we're going numbers, strength in numbers. But Michael, DeMar Hamlin, you mentioned it to me a little earlier, but what do you think?
Yeah, so I think like with comeback player of the year, it's people kind of take it as a most improved award, which I think the NFL should have both, because I think if it is a most improved, it would be Flacco or Baker. But in terms of comeback, like there's not really like a statistical criteria for how they need to play the next year after coming back. It's more of like the most adversity that a player comes back from, and you can't really face any more adversity than DeMar Hamlin faced last
Sorry.
year. And I don't really care that he only played 5 to 10 snaps this year. The fact that he's even on a roster and playing snaps is insane to me after what happened last year. So I think he deserves it for that. And he should also, just in general, like I feel like he gets a lot of unnecessary hate. Like I think he does deserve an award for what happened and his resilience through that thing. And also like I feel like if I think in the past, like Alex Smith won 1 year off after his like gruesome leg injury, and there's no way that he was like even a top 10 quarterback in stats that year, but he won because he came back from a crazy leg injury and
Couldn't
was
even walk.
like
Yeah.
he was a good quarterback after that. So I don't think it's an award that needs to be based off like the best player of a like Flacco came back from being bad, like Hamlin came back from
No, but Flack, I'll get the Flacco, but I don't know if he came back. He came from his couch, dude, and took them to the
yeah,
playoffs.
I
I think
see
if it's
that.
any other,
I see the arguments for Baker and Flacco, but that's why I think it's what I just said is why I think
if
it's
it's any other quarterback in my eyes, I don't think he's doing what he did as a pure passer for that team. I think if it's if they pick someone up off waivers, if they go get a Trevor Siemian or whatever it is, um, they're not going 11-5, and they're not. We were talking about them defeating the Ravens if they met. Prior
yeah.
to if they got past the Texans, we were talking about them taking down the Ravens. So it's like I would say, he was the biggest catalog to the success, the catalyst to their success in the last quarter and a half of the season. But Miles, you want to talk about Baker or Matt? One of you guys got it?
Um, I'll take it then, Mac. Go, I guess. I chose him just because, like, last season, people kind of wrote him off. I mean, he was on the Panthers, struggling to get the starting job on the worst team in the NFL, and then he got traded to the Rams for what, like a fifth round pick maybe, and played a couple games there for a pretty bad Rams team, and then he signed with the Bucks this offseason, and Bucks are looking like probably not a playoff team, much less winning the division. Like the expectations for the Bucks this season were so
Yeah.
low. Like I did not expect them to have a winning record. And Baker just like silenced the haters, I guess. And obviously not looking like a number one overall pick. But I mean, he's looking like he could maybe lead the Bucks in like the next 5 years and kind of solidified himself as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, I just thought back to the quarterback competition in the preseason, how Kyle Trask was
Kyle
possibly going to
Trask.
get the job. And I agree with everything Miles said, but in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if Baker just regresses completely
I
back to who he was.
I
I could
actually kind
totally
of
see that
agree.
happening.
Also, I feel like this award, like, historically, isn't it more of like an injury, like if someone who tore their
I
ACL
would also
and it was really good. I feel like it's kind of a new thing that like Baker would win as coming back from not
Sucking.
being good, and like because like Gino won last year off after being like a backup, whatever. I feel like that's more of a new trend. I don't know.
I
That's
would also like to throw Matt Stafford in there because he played outstanding football and went from an injury playing single digit games last year, to leading that team to a playoff, almost winning the division or getting into that conversation, almost making it to the divisional round, getting past the Lions, um, which they should have. I mean, don't even get me started about that. The red zone woes and all that, whatever. Um, but I do think that he played great, and that could be because of Sean McVay, or that's just because he's a baller, which I think needs to be discussed. And then last one, breakout player of the year. We got a split. Myself and Miles have Kyron Williams, and Jordan Love is taken by Michael and Matt. You guys go first. Michael, you can start with your QB.
Yeah, I was thinking, I thought about Kyron for sure. I mean, he kind of came out of nowhere and was what a top 5 running back, and he had a great season. But obviously, I was going to go with my boy Jordan Love. I think the just like I was a huge Jordan Love fan, and he even exceeded my expectations, which was just crazy. I mean, he played an absurd season, and I really think he played like at an MVP level down the stretch and in the playoffs, and I think he could be a future MVP candidate. I mean, the way he led that offense, the youngest offense and the youngest team in the NFL, and did it at such a high level with like jaw-dropping throws basically every week, and then like just making that playoff run down the stretch and beating some good teams and then blowing it. I know it's regular season, but the Cowboys game was absurd, and he was really great and just made me and all the Packers fans excited for the future. And I think a lot of Jordan Love haters were silenced because there was definitely a big group of them, and now I see it. It's kind of the majority opinion that he's good now, which is says a lot.
I mean, yeah, I
I
agree with everything
second
he
everything.
says. And like Jordan Love went through some rough stretches during the season. He bounced back. I think of this award as like a player that's already been in the league a little bit and stands out. Like I would have given this to Stroud, but it's not really breaking out because it's his first season. And I thought about Kyron Williams, but I just feel like running back is an easier position than quarterback. Though honestly, like if you have a good line or a decent line and you're decently athletic, you can be successful. Um, I think Kyron Williams had a great fantasy season, but Jordan Love had a better, just like pure football season, if that makes sense.
I My only pushback on Love is it's a regular shit. Like I didn't get the sense that he was an absolute stud until he beat the Cowboys. So, and that was come postseason time. So
I
that's
think that's
my
you.
only. What do you say? That's a
I
me
think that's a huge
problem.
problem. Like I thought the stretch when he beat the Chiefs and Lions, those back-to-back weeks. I mean,
I agree. I
I
agree, but I also think the lows when he lost to like the what did he lose to, like the
Giants.
Bucks, Giants, Bucks, like
the Bucks game was on the defense. I think he actually played really well that game. But yes, the Giants game, he played poorly. I was at that game. That was definitely a low. And the early games, like against the Raiders, he had a really bad game. And there's definitely some rough stretches. But I think his overall body of work was really like positive.
no, I agree, but I just think Kyron, like when he was healthy, Kyron Williams was a top 3 running back, undoubtedly in my eyes. I mean, you can look at the fancy numbers, or you can just look at the stats. He was getting 150 scrimmage yards a game and a touchdown or two a game, and it was numbers that nobody expected of him. It was Cam Akers' backfield at the beginning of the year, or I mean, you know what? It's like Darrell Henderson was there. It's just I understand the injury, but I think if he stayed healthy, and if we're just looking at average stats per game, I think he blows it out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, beginning of the season, Jordan Love was kind of just a big question mark. Like you didn't know he could have been really bad or he could have been really good. But just a pure like biggest surprise of the season. Like I barely knew who Kyron Williams was before the season. Like I completely thought Cam Akers was gonna have like a comeback season and potentially be maybe the Rams' future running back. And then like week 1 or 2, like Kyron Williams just takes the job and has a breakout season and probably enters the conversation for, or maybe not even enters. He's probably just in the top 10 running backs right now.
100%.
Yeah. And
100%.
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's just one of the best running backs in the league and no one saw it coming.
Well, that was the Puck and
Maybe
Ball
not even,
Awards.
I don't
Oh,
even think
sorry.
the
No,
Rams
sorry. Go
saw it
ahead.
coming, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he's one of the best
came out of
weapons in
yeah.
one of the best weapons in the league now.
Yeah.
I undoubtedly. The way they're going to use him now is just absurd. And that was the Puck and Ball Awards. That was another episode of Puck and Ball Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you guys next time.